Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be something I've never done before. I am going to be getting plastic surgery soon, and I went to 2 consultations a couple of days ago, and I wanted to make this video just to give you guys perspective and just to tell you guys my experience. The consultations were total opposites. I did end up booking with one of them, and basically I'm just going to kind of run you through like the process of like going and what happens and what they say and what you say and anything I asked and all of that. So if you guys are interested in that, just go ahead and keep on watching. So if you guys have watched my postpartum updates, I have mentioned it in there. So yeah, in those videos I did mention that I was planning to get a tummy tuck and a either boob lift or boob reduction, breast reduction. I say boob, sorry. I'm just going to kind of start from the beginning and then work my way up to the actual consultations. So the first thing I did was Google. Like I just looked up plastic surgeons in my area, and I live right in the middle of Phoenix in Arizona and Tucson. So I just looked up Tucson surgeons and Phoenix surgeons. My area doesn't have plastic surgery centers, I don't think. So, you know, there's a lot, and I took my time and I go through the before and afters. I'm more like a visual person, so like if the person's website is very outdated and you know, that would, you know, turn me off right away. So I looked at the tummy tucks mostly because tummy tucks are very much the same. Obviously everybody's different, their body's different, but my breasts were going to be more specific to me. The tummy tucks are all pretty much the same. It just depends on how the surgeon does them. So I was paying attention to the sides, like if they would just do the tummy tucks and like either the bottom part, like the pelvic area was still, you know, thank you ma'am. Yes. Yes, you want a cracker?
Yeah, maybe you want a cracker. Hi, I'm a little starter.
So it can be overwhelming when you're looking because there's a lot of options, there's a lot of people. So also there is a website called, I think, Real Help or Real something like that. I'll put it on the screen, and you can go on there and find stories about people's experiences with certain doctors. You can like search on there and stuff, so that's really helpful. The only thing is you don't want to get too caught up on, you know, reviews and stuff. You know, obviously you want them to have great reviews, but also there's gonna be people that just don't have good experiences no matter what happens. So, you know, just keep that in mind as well, that, you know, if you find yourself getting caught up on the reviews, like I would just totally just go with your gut and go with the pictures. Going to a consultation does not mean you're going to pay anything. Most consultations, as far as the ones that I have seen, they're free. So you can go, and if you don't like the guy, if you don't like the price, whatever, you don't have, or the girl, woman, it's just very male dominated, but you don't have to go with them, you know. So yeah, that's what I ended up doing. My husband told me, he's like, well, you know, you should at least go see like 3 different, you know, doctors. And I was like, you know what, you're right. You know, I want to make sure that as far as pricing goes and just like vibes, how I feel about the doctor, I give myself, you know, a chance to, you know, feel out a few different people. So I made 2 appointments in Tucson with 2 different surgeons. One appointment was at 2 and then one was at 4, and then I had another appointment in Mesa, like it's in the Phoenix, up in the Phoenix area, on Friday. So before going, I looked up a bunch of vlogs on, you know, people getting tummy tucks and breast surgeries, and I focused more on the tummy tucks just because that's the hardest surgery. I did not want to get implants. I just want to lift or reduce my breasts, so I wasn't too concerned or looking up too much information on that. I was mostly focused on the tummy tuck. So I just started watching them, writing down questions that they would suggest you ask, or if you see that like, oh, one person stays the night at their, you know, medical center or hospital, wherever they get surgery, you know, not everyone gets to stay the night. So that's just something that you may want to ask, like if you like that something was done for a certain person on their experience, you know, write that down. Hey, do I get this? Is this how it's going to happen for me? You know, am I going to get this, or are you going to do this? You know, I'm interested in this. Is this, like, literally do not feel bad about asking anything, because they're literally going to cut open your body. They're literally, your life is literally going to be in their hands. Aside from that, they're going to be paying a pretty penny for this to happen. So aside from just the fact that you're going to be put under and they're going to be cutting you open and fixing what you want fixed, not that it's broken, but, you know, modifying it, kind of putting it back together, helping you in certain areas that you can't help yourself, it's okay. And I planned, you know, to tell the surgeon, like when I would talk to them, you know, hey, as you know, there's a lot of information on the internet, and, you know, I've been researching a lot, and I have a lot of questions, and I just hope that I don't insult your intelligence by any of the questions that I ask. I don't feel like I know more than you at all, obviously, but, you know, definitely would like to have, you know, some questions answered, and if they may seem silly, you know, I'm sorry, you know, whatever. I'm like, that's fine, just say that. Say whatever's gonna make you feel better, but don't feel embarrassed to ask questions. You want to be sure of what you're going into. You want to feel that you trust the doctor. You want to feel like they have your best interest at heart, okay? I know doctors have a stigma of, oh, you know, they're assholes, you know, they're this and that, that's just how they are, whatever. No, you know, the God complex is not in all of them. So yeah, don't settle just because a doctor, you know, they can kind of bully you. They can kind of, like, you know, they know more, so it's like, oh, you'll be fine kind of thing. But don't be afraid to ask questions at all. Okay, so finally got the consultations scheduled. We went for the first one, obviously, since right now we are going through COVID and everything. Did not allow you to take anyone with you. So I went by myself, which was, you know, I was a little nervous about, you know, just being like totally exposed to a total stranger, you know, and obviously it was my first consultation, so yeah, that was, you know, a little weird. But just to give you perspective, so I went in, they give you papers to fill out with your general information, and then they take you back. This part was different for both appointments. So for the first appointment, the receptionist took me back to the room, and she had me like undress and like put the gown on as soon as I got in there. And then I waited a little bit. The doctor came in alone. I expected him to have like a nurse or something with him, but he didn't. So he came in, he didn't really give a lot of eye contact. He just, you know, kind of said hi. He seemed a little awkward, you know, didn't really like engage with me, had like no sense of humor. His personality was just very like cut and dry. It definitely made me feel like, okay, let's get this done. I have other things to do. Like, this is what I'm going to tell you what you need. This is what I'm going to offer you. The nurse will be in a minute to, you know, discuss logistics with you. Thank you. Have a good day. He did ask me at the end, like, oh, do you have any questions? And honestly, I just kind of felt a little railroaded. Like, he came in and just like, okay, what do you, it says here, because you write on the paper like what you want and your age and stuff like that. So he did ask me like a couple of things I did write down, like, you know, if I've had kids before, if you know, I was 29, you know, kind of thing. So after he asked me like a couple of questions, if you're going to get, you know, any sort of breast surgery, they measure your breast areas. So what I learned is that from here to, or like the middle, or from your collarbone to your nipple, it's supposed to be about 20 to 21 inches from here to the nipple. And that's just anatomically, ma'am, anatomically, that's like where it's supposed to be. Mine were like at 29 and like 28. So yeah, definitely need a lift. And he didn't measure my stomach or anything like that. He did measure like around and like from the nipple like to under, you know, stuff like that. But everything else I'm not sure of the measurements. But that's what he said. From there, he suggested me do 2 surgeries. One for my stomach, one for my breasts, and he wanted me to do them a couple of months apart. That is not like ideal for me. I totally understand, you know, his perspective. He did say, you know, it's just less risk, and you know, the surgery, like the 6-hour surgery, is just too long. You know, that he suggests doing it separate, that he would do it separately. Like basically, he didn't give me a choice. He didn't tell me why, aside from like, oh, it's just less risk. So I just had like no say in that, you know. I didn't really tell him like, well, you know, I have kids, like, and I can't just like do 2 separate surgeries. Like, that's not ideal for me, you know. So I did not want to get 2 surgeries. I did not want to be put under twice. So that is not something that I wanted. But like I said, the way he was just giving me everything all at once. I couldn't really ask anything. I couldn't really get a word in until like the very end, like I said, when he did say, so do you have any questions? And at that point I knew it just was not a fit at all. So I just told him no, like, that's it, you know, I don't have any questions, whatever. So he said, okay, well, one of the girls is gonna come talk to you, like, nice to meet you, you know, bye, whatever. He left. So yeah, a little while later, one of the women there, I don't know if she was a nurse or she just worked in the office, but she came, gave me a quote, she said, for the 2 surgeries, and they were both the same price. They were both $7,500 each, and which I thought was kind of a lot. I expected like the tummy tuck to be like more than the breast lift reduction. He also said that like the lifts and reductions are pretty much the same thing. They go hand in hand. It just depends on the person. But there are cases where some people just need a reduction and some people just need a lift. So yeah, that was basically in a nutshell the first consultation. The second consultation, it went way better. So when I got there, I went up. They hadn't told me if I had to come alone or not. So I went in and I asked them if RAMSES could come in with me, and they said yes. So they're like, yeah, as long as he wears a mask, and we're gonna take his temperature and, you know, whatever. And I was like, okay. So he did get to come with me, which was way better just because he didn't have to just sit in the car. So the doctor actually came and, like, you know, got us from the waiting area. We went back with him and we sat down and talked about everything. He had like a clipboard. He wrote everything down that I was saying. He was like showing me things on the clipboard, like drawing me things, like when he would explain something to me. It was just way more personal. He asked me a lot of things like, well, you know, what is your goal? Like, what is your priority? What are the things that you... No, I'm not getting up. And basically I told him that for my breasts that I just wanted them higher and smaller. I'm not too worried about the size of them. You know, obviously I don't want them too small. He did suggest doing 2 surgeries as well, like the first doctor, just because it was, I had put on there that I wanted the tummy tuck, the breast lift. I had put on there that I also wanted lipo on top of the breast lift and the tummy tuck. So he said that I should just consider my priorities, because it is, you know, riskier to have for the surgery to be, you know, long, and, you know, risk of infection, blood clots, all of that. So he basically told me that he would do the tummy tuck and the breast lift together, as long as we didn't do the lipo with it. I wanted to do like lipo on my back and like my love handles, and possibly like on my arms, because it is like impossible for me to lose weight on my arms. In my head, I'm like, might as well do everything that I want. I'm already going under, and I'm already, you know, paying to get all this done. So I'm like, I might as well just ask. Ow. Ow. See what they say? So basically that's what his whole spiel on, like, well, you know, what is your main focus? What is your priority? What do you want? Ow! Stop it. Ow, Mavis!
Come on, let's go play.
Look, see? She wants to go with you. So I basically came down to the conclusion, like, look, I'm going to get my boobs in, I'm going to get my tummy tuck, and that'll be the end of it. So if eventually I want to go back and get lipo, that'll just be a lot easier of a process. So that's what we decided on, for me to do the lift and then for me to do the tummy tuck. And then he is going to do lipo, but with the tummy tuck, they do lipo on your stomach area, like whatever you have there, and then they do the like pulling of the skin and like attach, you know, all that. But he did say he's going to lipo my sides, so like everything that he can basically reach here, and then like the sides of my you know, pretty much everywhere that you can see here on my shape area, because you know, he explains to you like how lipo works and why it's important to take your time, and that he doesn't want to rush anything. Not that he will, but you know, it's like with a longer surgery, more complications can happen. So after we were talking and he was explaining why it's probably better to do 2 surgeries, but this was, and he said, well, you know, it also depends on how much lipo we're doing, you know, because the more lipo, the longer you're going to be under. And then he also explains how, you know, the more fat you have, you know, the longer it takes for you to lipo. So that came to the realization that I asked him, like, do you think I should, you know, lose some more weight? And he's like, well, you know, that just goes hand in hand with what I was saying about the time on the table, that, you know, you want to limit the time that we're on the table, just, you know, for a better recovery, and, you know, less time that, you know, you're at risk. So yeah, you know, if you could lose another like 10-15 pounds, that would benefit you. You would have better results overall. You would have better results. So yeah, it was just a lot more of a calm and, you know, just natural conversation, and I got to ask everything I wanted to ask. And let me share with you guys the list that I wrote. So obviously, you know, you're going to talk about what you want, you know, why, and all that stuff. So I had already written, like, you know, lift, reduction. I didn't know the difference between a lift and a reduction, and if I was going to need both or just one. Also, I have back pain associated with my, you know, breasts, and so I have heard that you can get it covered by insurance. But he did inform me that is it depends on your size. So like if you just say, oh, like my boobs sag now, or like they're too heavy, my back hurts, you can't just go to a plastic surgeon and say, hey, like I want to get them reduced or lifted because of back pain, just bill my insurance. So he basically said that it has to be a certain size, and mine did not meet the size. He did say that I can't carry the baby until I'm like 6 weeks post-op. He did say, like, you know, to modify it to like where I can get her to like stand on a chair or someone else give her to me, but like actually lifting from the ground up is a big no-no. Anything like above 10 pounds, and she's like well above 10 pounds. So he did say that. And then the first doctor said that he literally said this. I did ask him this question. I'm like, well, I do have a 1-year-old. I'm like, you know, am I gonna be able to lift her? How soon am I gonna be able to lift her? And he said, oh, I don't put restrictions on you and your children. Like whatever you want to do with your children, you know, that's up to you, kind of thing. And I was like, which confused me, because I'm like, what does that have to do with me carrying the baby? Like, that's like about, I'm talking about like surgery. Like, I thought it was very like weird of an answer, but he said whenever. So I was like, okay, that's very strange, because I've heard at least, you know, a few weeks, like not just right away. So oh, I forgot to mention that after the woman came in and gave me the quote and all that, I asked her, she's like, okay, so if you end up wanting to book, just give us a call. My name is, I don't remember her name. And she's like, and just ask for me, and I can set you up with the date, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, right now, what is like the ballpark? When are you guys booking surgeries? And she's like, oh, like March, April, more like April. And I'm like, oh, okay. And ideally, I wanted to do it the like end of December, beginning of January, and I know I should have probably gone to consultation sooner so that I would have had more of an opportunity to get it at the time that I wanted to get it, but the problem was that I was nursing Mavis, and you know, obviously I had, like, my boobs were not at its natural state without milk in them, so I had to wait until I had weaned her, and then I had fully dried up. So at this point, it's about, I want to say it's like 6 weeks since I weaned her, but it's only been about 2-3 weeks since I've like been totally like milk free. I mean, I still have milk, but I don't like produce it regularly, so my boobs are pretty natural now. Ow, what's the matter? Come here with your baby. So yeah, they would, even if I would have liked the first doctor, they didn't have anything in the time frame that I wanted. Okay, it's like way later, obviously. Sorry about the lighting change. So the overall experience was just a lot more positive, a lot more informative. I felt like, you know, I was heard and like they actually like gave a shit, you know, kind of. So the first doctor, you know, it was probably good that it was, you know, the total opposite so that I could see like what a real doctor was actually like. I can't imagine what I would have felt like if like both doctors would have given me like the same impression as the first doctor. So yeah, and even when, you know, it was brought up like that, he does suggest that I, you know, would lose like 10 to 15 pounds. He did it like very, you know, respectful. He's trying not to like insult me, and I was like, don't worry. I was like, I'm not gonna get offended. It's fine, you know, I understand. But you know, basically he just explained everything thoroughly, and that's, I feel like that's what you want. That's the goal. I learned a lot, you know, also how he explained how liposuctioning works and how even it, in my head, it sounds so simple to be like, well, I'm already getting like a tummy tuck and a breast lift, so I might as well ask him to like, oh, just do my arms or just do my back or just whatever. And it's not that easy. Like to us, it's a lot easier. But like I said in the beginning, ask those questions. Ask everything you want to know, and you know, hopefully you get a doctor that is going to be willing to take the time with you and explain everything to you. If they're not, then you know there are hundreds of other doctors in your area that will, you know, someone will, hopefully. So yeah, I mean, now today is Wednesday. I canceled my appointment for Friday in Mesa, and we were not required to put a down payment to make the appointment for the surgery, which my surgery is going to be in 7 weeks on January 18th, and then you go in for a pre-op 2 to 3 weeks before the actual surgery, and then that's when they do. I'm not required to do any testing, any blood work or anything like that previously because I am healthy. I don't have any health you know, complications. I've never had any health complications with anesthesia, anything like that. I have had my kids, you know, vaginally, so anything with a scar or like C-sections or anything like that, I'm assuming that would be something that they would want to look into to make sure you're healthy for the surgery. But you know, as far as me, I'm just kind of like boring in that sense where, you know, I'm perfectly healthy and he is not requiring me to do any testing before. The cost that he not quoted me but that he gave us was $15,000, and he said that includes everything, all of the post-op appointments, the anesthesia, the everything is included in that price. So it's like exactly the same price they gave me at the first appointment, but they did tell me that that price was a quote. So I'm just gonna run down the stuff that I had written down. So I put lift, question mark reduction, question mark both. So I told him I didn't know if I needed a lift, a reduction, or both, and you know, they go hand in hand. He said the same thing as the first doctor as far as that goes. So I am going to be getting both. And then I didn't want implants. I thought about it for like half a second, but I considered it, but I really don't. That's not my goal. That's not like I feel like I've been growing boobs since I was in 4th grade. I'm over it. I'm over big boobs. I just want boobs that fit my body type. Like, I'm pretty small, and I'm just over like the back pain and, you know, the hassle of what big boobs, you know, entail. I just wanted them higher and perkier and a little smaller. Like, that's it. So that's the goal. That's what we're doing. Stop! I'm not going to be getting any lipo on my back. I put lipo on back, love handles, arms, question mark, and then the pubic bone area. So if you visualize a tummy tuck and you get like the cut around, yeah, you know, there have been like, probably not recently, they probably learned from this, but you're supposed to lipo like the pubic bone area, like where you have, you know, extra fat in there, because if you get a tummy tuck and like this is your stomach, right, and you get a tummy tuck, you get all this pulled down, all this pulled down, all this pulled up, stitch it up, like this, like it's gonna be flat, and then like your like pubic bone area is gonna bulge out because they didn't lipo there. So that is included. My doctor was like, yeah, you know, that I do that for everybody. Like, that's not like a you know, I know there are some doctors that don't do that, but I don't understand why, because it's gonna look, you know, if you wear leggings or anything that's like tight on your stomach, which most women, you know, will, which is why, you know, they get tummy tucks, it's going to be very noticeable. So that is something you might want to check on if, you know, you're going to a consultation. That's the only areas I'm getting lipo is, he basically said anywhere he can reach on my waistline and like my stomach area and my like, I guess my love handles, but it's like more like my hip area right here. So everywhere that he can reach, he is going to like, it's going to be like an outpatient thing. So it's going to be like at a facility like that they have for surgeries. So I'm gonna get it there, and then I will be leaving. I don't stay there, so we'll probably be staying with a family member. Maybe I have a lot of family in Tucson, depending on the situation, or we're probably just going to get a room, a hotel room, stay there, because he does see me the next day. Then he sees me a week after that, a week after that, and then a month after that, 2 months, 3 months, and then until 6 months. Then I don't see him anymore. So there's quite a few post-op appointments after that. You are fully intubated, so I asked about that because I have heard that they can partially intubate you. He did tell me like where the scar is going to be. So basically, like, if you, especially if you've had kids and you have like loose skin, if you stand up and you kind of look at where your like stomach kind of folds, you know, at the very bottom of your stomach area, that's where he said for me, he's like, that's where opening is going to be pretty much, because all that hangs down is loose skin. It's like a good indicator of like where the line will be. So mine is pretty much going to be hip to hip. And he does do drains, so there are situations where doctors do drainless. You can like look that up if you are more interested in that, but basically they like suture you more on the inside so that you don't need drains. But my doctor does do drains. He explained to me why he prefers drains and all of that, so I feel very comfortable with that. But I have heard about the drainless method, so I did ask about that. But yeah, that's about it of questions I asked that weren't like naturally brought up. That was like my whole experience, and like I said, so when we first went in, all three of us sat down and we talked and kind of like went over everything. Then I changed, and then he got to measuring, and then like kind of like he felt if I had separation of my muscles, and he felt if I had any hernias. I have like a tiny, he said I have a tiny little hernia like on my belly button, so he said he will repair that, just because he'll repair like the tiny ones. So I mean, I'm very excited. It's something we've been, you know, saving for, we've been, you know, planning for, and you know, it's just crazy and surreal that we have a date now, and that, you know, it's gonna come and go, and I'm gonna get it done. And now it's not just like a conversation, it's actually, you know, something that is gonna happen. So I'm very, very excited. I'm trying to think of all the hard things, you know, like we don't spend a lot of nights away from our kids and stuff, so that's going to be something that's probably that first night where we have to stay up there and stuff. But you know, I feel like everything's just going to fly by, and we have a lot of support. Thankfully, we have, you know, our parents and my sister, and Ramses' sister also moved back after she graduated college, so she's here. So we have a lot of support, and you know, I'm not worried about the kids. I'm not worried about Ramses. Ramses, hopefully, he's gonna be able to take the full, like a full 2 weeks off.
She needs a diaper change.
Okay. If not, at least a week.
Hi, it's Mavis, the baby, and me, Jet. I mean, sister, mommy, who's the vlogger, and this is the cutest baby in the world.
Okay, sorry. Ramses is at work right now. He works overnight tonight. He's also going to be getting a new job, so we're really excited about that, because you know, his current job is just a lot of like just random shifts and stuff, and that's just, you know, can be stressful. So here, Mavis, look. Anyway, so yeah, I'm super excited, super hyped. I left that office feeling like on top of the world. I'm just so excited. The reason that I hadn't lost more weight too, I was talking to Ramses about this too, is that, you know, I was nursing Mavis, and I always felt guilty, like if I was, you know, trying to like diet too much and I wasn't eating enough, or I was like in a deficit, or I was like working out too hard, that, you know, I would have less milk production. I always like had that in the back of my mind. So I told him, I was like, now I can, you know, I can fast even easier, because I used to like be so hungry and all that. You know, when you nurse, you're like starving all the time. So it's a little easier for me now to like control myself, you know, with the eating process. I can work out, but the eating thing is a lot harder. So yeah, so I've definitely been doing a lot better. I'm running every day, like just even if it's a warm-up run. So that's going to help me too, with the fat loss. And then, so recovery is 6 weeks. I asked him about that I have a 2-story house, so like going up and down the stairs. So he said for at least the first like few days to be downstairs, or like even the first week. He's like, well, unless you don't have a restroom downstairs, like where you're gonna be able to like clean your wounds and stuff. And so I was like, well, yeah, my husband's a nurse. I was like, so he mentioned that, you know, that we'd need the bathroom. And he said, you know what, well, you know, if you can get up, you know, it's all up to you. He's like, if you can get up. I was like, he's like, but then you're gonna want to stay up there, you know, because it's gonna be at least for the first few days, you know. And I was like, okay, so we'll see how that goes. And then so yeah, recovery I feel like is gonna be honestly not that bad. Like, I'm just gonna take my pain medication every time I need to take them, and I'm going to just, you know, let Ramses take care of me. If you guys didn't know, he's a nurse, so like lucky me, he'll know what to do, and he's gonna be taking care of me. So will you post a photo of your you're comfortable showing as far as before and after? I think so. Once I do like surgery and everything's done, I don't know. I just feel, yes ma'am, what do you mean? I just feel like, you know, just normalize people wanting to do whatever they want to do. Not that I have to explain myself, but I feel like it's just so, people try to hide stuff because other people try to make them feel ashamed of it. It's your body, like it's your body that you have to live in every single day. You know, it's like you are the one that, you know, especially if you had either massive weight loss or if you had kids, that you have this loose skin and you want to get rid of it, and you just can't, you don't feel comfortable, you don't feel confident, you don't like want to like wear certain things, you can't wear certain things, and it's just this cycle of just like feeling ashamed for just doing what you want. I was telling Ramses, I'm like, this is probably gonna be the most selfish thing I'm ever gonna do in my whole life, but you know what, it's gonna be okay. Like, I've had 3 kids, you know, I live my life for everyone else every single day, and I'm happy doing so. But at the same time, I'm still a human being, and I'm still me, and I still want to be true to myself and take care of myself mentally and physically. So this is something I want to do for myself, and I don't feel guilty, you know, now being on this side of like, you know, 3 kids and all of this, you know, it's like, okay, like I'm ready to do this. So I think that's the mental space you need to be in. Like, you can't just feel like, oh, I need to do this because I want to look like that or like this, or like, it's not about the way I want to look. It's honestly not. It's not like because I feel like other people look at me and like, oh, judge me or whatever. No, it's 100% because I feel uncomfortable in what I wear, and I feel uncomfortable with how like I feel in my clothes. I feel like this is not my body, you know. I feel like I like went to sleep and woke up one day and it was just like this, and I just cannot get used to it or like accept it. So I feel like it's something that if I can change it and I can do it, why not? You know, it's going to make me feel more comfortable with myself, then why not, you know? So yeah, I don't feel like ashamed, or like I don't feel like I'm not gonna lie to anybody. I'm not, it's like, I'm gonna be honest, you know, like, so yeah, my whole point of like talking about stuff is because of that, because I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, they can't do this because other people are gonna judge them, or if they do it, they have to like lie to people, or people are gonna judge you. Whether you have saggy tits and a big stomach, they're gonna judge you, so why not do what you want, and they're gonna judge you anyways, you know? So yeah, what were you wanting to get done? What kind of surgery? I'm not doing a mommy makeover. I know that's similar to mommy makeovers, like when you get your boobs and your stomach and your butt, but I'm not going to do anything to my butt. Like, honestly, I feel like I'm going to like look so like, I don't know, like I already have hips and like legs and the butt and stuff. So I feel like once I get like this top part done, like I'm gonna look like I already got my butt done. So I think I'm okay in that department. Cost, a lot of just questions on like the cost, the recovery, and like what I'm actually getting done. And I will put the doctor that I'm going with down below in the description box, so stay tuned guys. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm going to be making more videos discussing all the other things. So I'm going to be going to a pre-op, and then I'm going to do my surgery and all of that. So I think I'm going to do a video talking about all the things that I'm gathering that I'm going to need for after surgery, and then I might make a video probably talking about just like what I'm doing differently now that I'm not nursing and all of that, as far as like my eating and my workout habits. I think I'm going to do that next. I'll do that this week. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so this is going to be like, I've been really good since we came back from the doctor since that day from my consultation. So I'm going to continue that. But as far as like Thanksgiving, tomorrow and Friday, we're having, you know, lots of food. So
we had a good time. I played with dinosaurs with her, and she had fun.
Yay! Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Don't touch the camera. Bye! Bye!